Jon Rahm will certainly be one of the favourites once more at Augusta National as we move into this year's Masters. Well, because he's got prowess across the game, but also one particular part that stood out throughout his career to this point is the driver. So we're going to take a look at that, using our Skyscope technology to take him from the golf course into our studio here, bringing, of course, his driver with him as well. So here he is. Big guy, strong guy, really strong through the centre of his body. But this is the story of a golf swing that really works for him in spite of limitations that he has. So often we'll look at a player and say, oh, well, if I could swing it like that, then I'd be that good. Well, this guy's had many problems throughout his life. Remember, born with a club foot. So he has things that he's had to adapt that have still allowed him to be a titan of the modern day game. We're going to look at some of those features right now. As far as driving goes, if he's not the best, he's one of them. And certainly has been that way on the PGA Tour, has been here as well at Augusta National. The last 5 years, no one has driven it better than Jon Rahm. I'd address, I mentioned that clubbed foot. He's really limited ankle mobility on that right side there. So what he'll tend to do is to start with more of his weight on that right side because he can't really move into that side and certainly coil into that right side as well as many other players out on tour. Doesn't really matter. Sets up with a bit more on this bias to the right side to begin with, and then from there he starts his routine of winding up to the top. So we're going to take Jon up to the top of his backswing here. And I say top of the backswing, the caveat is it's not the top of the backswing for most players either on tour. You see most of them getting up towards that parallel to the ground position with that club. Not Jon Rahm. Why? Again, limitation in his upper body, has really poor thoracic mobility. So that means that when he turns, he can only get to a certain point. Now, he could still reach parallel if he just let his arms idly swing past his body. Problem is, he'd lose that connection, that wonderful connection that he's got between arms and body, and have to try and time it back up on the way down. As it is, he turns as far as he can, body stops turning, club stops moving. And he can afford to do that. And this is where his power comes in, the raw power that he has in his centre, because from this point, Jon is going to really turn on that and crank up the power to send that ball an awful long way down there. We'll notice that club head as well at the top of the backswing, looking up towards the sky. Another one of those modern day players that has a strong club face. Some would say a little shot. We're going to have to get used to saying that's fairly orthodox because most of these top players tend to have that with it, a little bit of bow as well in his gloved hand at the top of the backswing. And it's how he uses that that allows him to be so impressive. It's inspiring less arm swing, more body drive and rotation as well. That's what we're going to see as we move you on around the front to take in that raw power towards that target as well. You can see it's a beautiful turn, still nice move into that right side, the straightening of that right leg in the backswing. And now we're going to allow him to start to drive forwards in the downswing. And you can see as he comes into delivery here, already now starting to post up onto that lead leg, his left leg on his way through. And that is where also the movement, the drive from that right side where he was at the top of the backswing, now into the left, and with that punch rotation on the way through. So you think the power he has through his middle, he really uses all of that, has the arms in front of him and pushes really hard through strike. And it's that pressure that he can apply with all of that strength, which is more. That's not a limitation for Jon Rahm. That is more than most on tour that gives him all of this power. He'll continue to post up as we send him on through to the finish. And you'll see the evidence of that drive forward by just how far onto that right toe he gets at the finish of his golf swing as well. What a move it is from Jon Rahm. And with it, that beautiful little baby fade that he produces, because that beautiful rotation with that stronger face, and he holds it through strike, hits that lovely little fade from left to right. That is his staple. However, slightly different plan. Speaking to his coach, Dave Phillips from TPI, brilliant coach, understands that body-mind connection as well. And we're going to take Jon back into address position here to show you how he's going to hit the draw this week. Loves to fade it, thinks he needs to draw the ball here to have a better chance of winning the Masters. It's a big shout. We've heard this story before. How's he going to do it? Well, picking the brains of his coach, Dave, the plan is really quite simple. In fact, what he's going to do from his normal address, he's going to have the ball ever so slightly further forward. He's going to have the tee peg ever so slightly higher, and he's going to stand ever so slightly closer to it. Why would you do that? If I slip the ball in here, that's about where he's going to end up hitting it from this week when he's trying to draw the ball. So why would he do that? Well, what it means, ever so slightly further forward, the higher tee peg and closer to him, he's meeting it later in the arc as the club is ever so slightly closing down, but with his path still going on its normal line, that will generate the face to path that will put that right to left spin on it. It's a nice little addition because you think actually in terms of trying to draw the golf ball, doesn't do anything with his golf swing, makes all the adjustments before he even moves the club back, and hopefully it will deliver the shape that he's looking for to maybe unlock a couple of secrets to this golf course. Regardless whether that's a good idea, how well he delivers it, one thing is for sure, Jon Rahm this week, once again, will be tough to beat.